Meantime, during that time, the feds were also building their case against Kilpatrick, pulling apart his criminal web piece by piece and charging his friends and acquaintances. Contractor Bobby Ferguson was charged. Childhood friend Derek Miller pled guilty to 2 counts, including accepting bribes and filing a false tax return. He provided information to the feds that helped them strengthen their federal case against Kilpatrick.
You got challenges that you're going to run across.
Absolutely.
You need to have something to do with your hands because the computer's going to be doing everything.
Everything. And the vocational stuff is the money maker for the future. You know, people coming out of colleges in droves, unless they got some kind of specialized skill, you're going to be working way beneath whatever degree you got. You just are.
Yeah.
So right now, you got lawyers teaching, you know.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you got people waiting for residency working in Nordstrom's. You know, it's a time period, and then malls are closing. Different stuff. So being able to do carpentry, metalwork, welding, that stuff is going to become more important. But like you said, with the AI. So if you could do data entry, data management, stuff that you can go a 2-year program, 1-year program with, you can come out now making $60,000, $70,000 of benefits.
Right.
So I think that if we had people that understood that and can go into the system and start, you know, helping people kind of map out. At El Reno, they had a welding program. Those guys were coming out of there getting hired on release. All of these guys. One of the guys, Tony in Dallas, he's working at the parole racetrack. He's building cars. He's doing all kinds of stuff. Very successful. But he was in for 20 years. But he became an expert welder while he was there. So when he got out, he had many offers for jobs. Same thing. If you don't have anything, that guy's not going to reoffend. That guy got a house. He got a wife. He doing really good. Right. But there's some other guys, hey, you didn't show me anything. I was in there for 10 years. You showed me nothing. You gave me nothing. I had a GED when I came. You know, what do you do?
Right. You know, couple of things you talked about, and I'd like for you to paint that picture for me, or explain to us about the federal system in the courts, in the federal court system, when you said that they pretty much can bring up anybody or tell any lie in there that they want. It doesn't matter, have to be a truth, and it's actually where it can be heard. You know, like, you know, sometimes you be thinking that, wait a minute, you can't just put anybody in there, but you're saying that with the Fed system, they'll do that.
Yes.
Any person who commits a crime where they suspect that there may be other people involved, if it fits within RICO, and RICO requires that at least 2 crimes be committed within the last 10 years. So if you're familiar with conspiracy doesn't require that. But once you get the 2 crimes, then they go to the RICO where you get the more exposure to punishment.
We learn in law school, those of us have been in any law school in America. We learn in law school in evidence class that there are 2 different types of evidence. There's direct evidence, and then there's circumstantial evidence. You hear it all the time on Law and Order. That's based on a state evidentiary system in the courts, not on the feds. Circumstantial evidence and direct evidence are not weighed the same at any trial. As a matter of fact, the average person, that's circumstantial. You know, you can say that in the barbershop. Yes. People know that. Right. You ain't got nothing direct. You ain't got no fingerprint. You ain't got no blood. You ain't got no hair. You ain't got
smoking gun.
Yeah, man, you just got that's hearsay you got from old girl. We all talk like that. That's not something that's real technical. So old girl told you that, you're gonna believe her over me.
Yeah.
You know, so you got that's circumstantial. That But in the federal system, circumstantial and direct evidence is weighed the same. That's why 97% of the people that are indicted by the feds, they plead because they don't believe they can win at trial. It's actually over 97%.
The RICO statute carries up to 20 years, and the guidelines, the federal sentencing guidelines, are more severe under the RICO statute than they would be under, for example, an extortion statute. But again, it's not sufficient to simply say a single politician did something wrong. They've got to show an enterprise. Thus, for example, if they were able to allege that a state legislator took a bribe in return for a vote, that wouldn't be sufficient to charge him under the RICO statute. They would have to show that that legislature had an enterprise, meaning more than one person. So it would have to be the legislator, maybe his aide, and some other people that would be involved. And again, a single instance of bribery cannot be charged under the RICO statute. It's got to be what they call pattern of racketeering, although the pattern only has to be 2 predicate acts.
And so those of us who choose to go to trial, first of all, you get punished more in the feds because they don't give you the benefits of anything that they give you with the police. So they're going to ask for the top of the guidelines. They're going to add more at sentencing. So most of the people that go to trial and get found guilty, you're going to get something more at sentencing, because sentencing, they can add time to you by preponderance of evidence, which is real crazy. But that's what happened to me. I walked in with a level about 10 years. After they gave me leadership role, intricate scheme, you did this, did that. I left out of there between 30 and life, and the judge said, I'm giving you a break. I'm gonna give you 28 years. But this federal system, if somebody says it, it's evidence.
Wow.
If somebody
you were talking about that, is a bunch of guys had a get out of jail free card as long as you say something about me.
Listen, you had a guy named Derek Miller. I have him in the thing. He stole over almost $600,000 from a pension fund, totally unrelated to me. He used this other girlfriend of his. They stole money from a pension fund. Neither one of them did 1 day in prison. What did they do? They got in the room with the FBI. The FBI said, if you give us something on this guy, we'll work a deal with you. His lawyer put it together. He came in there and testified for 2 days to all kind of nonsense. They knew it wasn't true. My lawyer actually did a good job destroying everything he said, but he did what they said. He helped them immensely. He put the RICO claims together for him. He ended up walking out of there and did nothing, not a day in jail, didn't pay back the money to the senior citizens who lost their retirement money, and he's walking around today.
Then once they smear you, they don't need to have real stuff on you.
Because that's all you have to do for evidence. You just say it. And so those people who are watching this that understand this, if you can go to, and this is when it gets horrible in drug cases. I could be a drug dealer. I'm trying to put somebody away. I could just go in and testify and say, I gave Tony, I gave him a key every month for 12 months. So although when they busted you, Tony, they never found any drugs, they never seen any drugs, they don't have anything around, they take the drugs that I sold you and they say, well, that's 12 keys. And they put that on you and indict you for 12 keys. And the evidence of the 12 keys is not any 12 keys, it's not anybody doing anything.
It's just him saying it.
It's him saying he sold it to you. Then they go get somebody to say they bought drugs from you every week. They got an ounce from you every week for 2 years. And then they add that drugs and they relate them together.
What did you see as the verdict came down today in the courtroom?
What I saw was a total miscarriage of justice. The first count, when they said that, I knew that this wasn't going to be a good day. A racketeering count, RICO. That's why they did it like that, on a conspiracy kind of a deal, because you don't have to have evidence for that.
And it's the craziest thing in the world, because this guy then ends up with life for 12 keys. And nobody's ever found any drugs anywhere.
Right.
Now, everybody's saying, oh, they don't do that. They do that almost in every drug case over the last 30 years in this country. Most of the guys sitting in prison, the overwhelming majority of the guys that are sitting in prison right now still for drug cases, they ain't found no drugs. It's not saying that they weren't drug dealers.
Right.
Let's do it fairly. They just create.
What it does is it takes away the work of the cop to try to, do enough due diligence to catch this guy. So instead of going through all of that, let's just get some lies, put it together. We got it.
Got him. And that's the same thing in my case, in a RICO case, and I got convicted of a RICO. You just have to show that there was a continuing organization with the intent to do crime over a period of time. They got one witness to come in and say, Yeah, we used to have meetings about doing crime. Oh, we had them like almost every month or every other month. And we got together and we would talk about contracts and doing crime. And yeah, it was an intention that, hey, some people were going to get paid. They had no evidence of any meetings. They had not, first of all, it never happened. This never happened. And there was no proof that anything happened. It was the most ridiculous thing. But the person who testified to that, he gotten in trouble before. And he was able to just get away scot-free. There's a woman who raised money for me. She came in. She had a $900,000 debt with the IRS. She had made a considerable amount of money over the years, far long before she came to work for me.
Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the all button and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to have a lot of good interviews on this podcast.